Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? Lee Bailey here. It is time for our Be Encouraged program. We hope that you have a chance to join us today, and we hope you have a chance to listen in because Derrick Pearson is about to be on with us as well. What are we going to talk about? Stay tuned.
Check this.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Derrick DP. Are you with me?
I'm with you. Good morning.
Good, man. You see you wearing your Huskers stuff because you're about to go on the air there, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's we got over a foot of snow, so this town is shut down. But
I heard it's 16 degrees outside.
yeah, about 14 inches of snow, and
Wow.
back to the studio. Yeah, it's gonna be.
So what do you have? What do you have? A snowmobile? How do you get to work?
Well, I made the choice to live in downtown, right off of one of the main thoroughfares, and it's the one that gets plowed
Immediately, right?
Yeah, so it'll be tricky, but I'll get there. I'll get there.
Yeah, we lived in Iowa when I was a kid, and unless it was a blizzard going on actively, then we had school. Didn't matter.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
did it
I mean,
yesterday. Yeah, we did yesterday. We did it yesterday, and then we got hit with another 8 inches or so. So
yeah.
we're troopers. We'll get it
Yeah,
done.
our whole snow removal crews, I remember, were just. I mean, I don't remember even seeing them. You know, I don't remember seeing them, but the roads were clear. So
Well,
got in and got out.
Lee, they make a point. It's against the law for you to park on the street.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so that it's like, look, when we're plowing, you you want your car, you better have it parked in a garage or a driveway.
That's right.
Yeah.
They'll push it on down the road with the rest of the snow.
Hey man, hey, they give you a little bit of hope. They give you information, that's for sure.
Yeah. Got to keep it clear, especially though. I mean, not so much in the summertime, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean it and if they're ball game and events, they're really sticky about parking for that very reason. But yeah, they know how to handle snow. They know how to handle business snow. So we'll be okay.
How are you? So how's your week been, my friend? Good.
It's been an interesting week. On air, we did a lot of conversation about Hank Aaron and
of course,
his person,
mm-hmm.
And the thing about Hank Aaron that crosses over is that Hank never went to high school. Most people don't know that. Never went to high school.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah, was drafted, and they said, well, he didn't even play high school baseball. He played sandlot baseball, and he played. He was found and played in the Negro Leagues. Played for the Indianapolis Clowns, where they found him. He played for 6 months, and that was good enough for them to recognize that he was special. But the thing about Hank Aaron that most people will talk about is that he might be one of the greatest humans to ever occupy this space. And It's a huge loss. It's like the country. He was an American hero. He wasn't a baseball hero.
No, you're right.
He was an American hero, and that was
Yeah.
a big part of what we've been dealing with on air here locally.
Yeah, he just endured a whole lot of persecution too. And I read a book once when I was in high school, a little one of those. I had to pick a biography, and I said, "Ooh, Hank Aaron's cool." Not only that, but the book was kind of thin because somebody didn't write a whole lot about him. But they wrote enough that I was shocked. I mean, I was just like, "Wow, that's it made me cry at times thinking about the stuff he had to go through." And I think they made a movie about him too, right? And that one got me.
3,000 letters. They had to hire security because they had 3,000 letters a day just during the Babe Ruth chase, home run record chase.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it was one thing to be great on the field, but he made a point
Great off the field. Yeah.
to be great off the field and help people, and that's really what this thing is. All of these games are just vehicles for you to be a greater version of yourself,
Yeah.
and for us to see that the greater version of ourselves is available to us if we're willing to go down that path.
Right, man. I tell you, it's you know, again, speaking about Hank Aaron, his life. How many kids did he have?
I'm not sure. I know I know that his son, his brother had kids. I don't know how many Hank had, but they also went through it. I mean, being the son of didn't make it any much easier for them. Um, they decided not to play the game because there was too much.
Yeah, yeah,
You're carrying too much, and doing it in the South, doing it in Georgia.
yeah.
He tell the stories of well, geez, I was loved by 30,000 people every night from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I had to drive past Stone Mountain, Georgia, and see to see that every day. And then there were days when they didn't like me at 11 o'clock at night.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
he had to fight for his family. His family, there are foundations that still exist that the families run, but they stayed away from the game.
Well, the game. I mean, the game really wasn't that nice to them. I mean, but he was a great man. There's just no question, no bones about it. Some of the initial guys like he and Jackie Robinson and so many other people, Satchel Paige, and there's so many players that played in the Negro Leagues, which were just phenomenal. And then those that did go into the Major League Baseball just carried themselves in such a way that it didn't, they didn't ruffle any feathers. And that's something that they learned that they needed to do if they wanted to have a good, successful career in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with being that person that has to, the responsibility of carrying my race when I'm trying to carry me.
Right, exactly.
Carry me, but being in Nebraska, being in Utah.
I was going to ask you that question.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't want to. How do I approach this? But Nebraska, not what I'm known to be a colorful state, and but the good people. They're good people in Nebraska. So, it's just one of those things. I was just going to ask you about. So, how's the transition been to Nebraska? Have you had any issues?
No, Lee, let me say this to you and to anybody that's watching this. When you get to those uncomfortable intersections, go forward asking. I'll tell you the truth. Remember that the phrase, do I have you tell you the truth? That the more questions we ask, the more familiar we are.
Right.
And we get lost sometimes in that vacuum that, well, I don't know how to ask this question. I'm curious about it. Be curious. Be curious. There's nothing wrong with being curious. No matter where I've been. I mean, whether it was Utah, Charlotte, North Carolina, there was the Billy Graham space there in the Carolinas. Salt Lake, of course, you've got the LDS Church. Um, and usually I'm in some different spaces than and I don't necessarily, my face doesn't look like a lot of the faces of the places that I've been, but that's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
In the end, we use sports to have conversations and reach common things.
yeah.
The Love Prince mantra, loving and learning through sports. That sports has been broken down more barriers than anything else in this country, sans music, and that's what it's there for. I'm perfectly willing, as a coach, as a former player, as a broadcaster, to break down the barrier of what people think rather than what actually is. If you're willing to
Correct.
ask and have the conversation, I say, ask me, brother, I'll tell you.
That's right. No, it's funny too. I'd like to give a little plug for Dry Bar Comedy. That's one of my favorite things to look at comedians, and they're it's in Provo is where the thing is. And there's a black gentleman he was really funny. And then he asked somebody, "Where's the black part of Provo?" The guy looked at him and said, "Wherever you are."
That's it.
Yeah.
That my thing is, if you can cheer me on in a game, take that out of the game, and then engage me as a person.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the Bill Curry, the great coach from Alabama, played for Bear Bryant and Vince Lombardi, said that in the beauty of the huddle is that there are no religions, there are no colors. It's one mission, one task, and a group of people who have agreed to love each other to that task.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why sports was my vehicle, because it took me to places that it took Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and Jackie Robinson. It took them to places and introduced them to people that they would never meet any other way.
Right. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, he was from
Yeah.
Mobile, Alabama, and didn't go to high school, and ended up being an executive for the Atlanta Braves,
Oh no, that's amazing.
and he was a great example that, listen, it's tough, but it can work, but don't make it tough. Imagine how great Jackie would have been without the friction. Imagine how great Hank would have been without unnecessary friction. And in the end, it's about a group of really connected people. And the important part of that is connected. Sports connects,
Mm-hmm.
does not. And the two do not fit, and they do not go together. And that's the thing that if you're a teammate of mine, once and forever, you're my teammate. And that never changes. That never, ever changes.
Right. Gotcha. Hey, so tell me a little bit more about Love Prince. We haven't ever really delved into that before. I'm curious to know about Love Prince a little bit more. And when did you start Love Prince? I mean, it's a great organization. It's a great concept, rather. Is it a concept or an organization?
It's a concept. It's also an organization. The organization is just, again, the vehicle for the message. And it's simply this: covering the next person, thing, situation that you intersect with love. As a parent, as a coach, as a teacher, our mission is simple: to love the people under our charge so much that they are covered in love, and the other thing will not stick. See, if whether it's your spouse, your significant other, your kid, if you love your child at home,
yeah,
and they leave that house covered in love, and then that other thing shows up, and it makes them uncomfortable, as it should. They say, wait a minute, that I know what love is. I know what love feels like. This doesn't feel like love to me, or this doesn't sound like love to me. You know what love sounds like once you've been loved properly.
sure.
And then that allows the love that I got from home to now cover the person that I've engaged with. And that person then will take the love I gave them, and then we'll share it, and then we'll share it, and then we'll share it. And as a coach, and as a player, as a parent, we send our kids covered in love to school. And what you hope, what you pray for, is that teacher is also a love vehicle covered in love and loves your kid. Teaching is love. Educating is love. And the power of teachers. It's why they're so important to us in our community, because they're love based. They produce en masse this community of love. Coaches can do the same thing that we give our kids to coaches. And a great coach will empower, enable, and elevate our kids just from love itself. And then your place of employ, if done well. You don't walk into the place going, oh man, I got to go to work today. I haven't frowned about going to work in 30 some years.
Right.
Because I love what I do. I love the people I do it with. And then I set the standard. Love is a standard. That's the part that people miss. Love is a standard. And it says, listen, this is the level that we're going to engage. And when you engage me, love me. And if you can't, then you probably shouldn't engage me, because I'm going to make you frustrated. If you try to hate me, I'm going to make it really difficult for you to hate me, because I'm going to put love. So the idea was to get my players to enhance the community. And it started with challenging a baseball team to produce 10 smiles a day. And I said, if you start at home, people who love you most, then love them. Be smart enough to love the people that love you. Take some of the burden off your mom. She does your laundry for you. Do the laundry for her. She cleans your bedroom. No. You take that responsibility. You walk into school, and you're not anonymous. People need you. Open doors, help teachers. You see a student that's struggling, stand up with them. You see a student that's alone, stand with them. You see a teammate that's struggling, stand with them. And each act, one act at a time, one simple act at a time, is what changes the world for so many people. And we took that group of 30 players, and we needed 300 smiles. We did 3,000. Because that's what love does.
Right.
That's what love does. It multiplies, and it's exponential. And the beauty of this thing is, I've got a book that's coming out in April, and it's about influencers. And I think of it this way. There's a coach that I had when I was 14 years old, who so loved me and empowered me. He's a police officer in Arlington County named Barry Larrabee. Called him Coach Bear, big 6-foot monster of a man. But I told him that he's coaching kids today that he's never met through me.
That's right.
Through me and through the kids, right? It's the same voice, his voice, it's his words, it's his action. And Love Prince was just my ability to announce to people across the board en masse that love is welcome here. Love is preferred here.
Yeah, football players are like going, what? Baseball players, what? Love. We're doing baseball. We're not. What are you talking about? Love.
Well, to get it, and it's so layered that you tell people say, well, I love football. Okay, well, love requires action in order for it to be productive. And are you willing to love the game that you talk about the right way? And that's in the way you practice it, the way you represent it, the way you perform it. Don't tell me you love baseball if you're not going to go and take batting practice extra, if you're not going to work on your craft extra. Don't tell me you love basketball if you're not going to go and get up to 100 shots that you need. Love requires action. And it's easy to say it. The love out loud part of it is easy to say. But then the other part of Love Prince, love requires action, action requires love. And if you don't get it, that you can tell a woman that you love her, but if you don't show her, if actions don't match, Love Prince is just a GPS to say, hey, Lee, today, whatever we do, love will be attached to it, and we will be busy. And I think that's what we're here for.
That's awesome. That is very cool. I just was thinking something as you were talking, and I'm like, and it just went right out my brain. I wanted to transition into. Well, we got our Super Bowl teams, And one of the things that I wanted you to speak to is Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
What's your impression of Patrick Mahomes?
The man or the player?
The man and the player. The man first. What is your impression of the man first? I think he just anyway. I'm just curious what you think. And of course, we don't see what the real man is because he's doing commercials and he seems fun and all this kind of stuff and all those things. And so we don't know that that's really who he is as a man, but it seems that he is. I don't know.
It's funny. I met his mom before I met him. They're Texas folks, and so when I was in Houston, ran into his mom one day at a store, and she's like, "Okay, you know who my son is." I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of do." And the family, what I know from the family is this: they love sports the right way. Patrick's dad was a Major League Baseball player, was a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick could have been a Major League Baseball player himself.
Of course.
As a matter of fact, you see a lot of baseball in the way he plays quarterback.
Third base, sidearms, yeah.
He's got all those different. He's got all those different shoulder slots to throw from.
Yeah.
Comfortable in.
That's very baseball. Very baseball.
But that shortstop in him shows up often in his ability to be mobile and make that cross the body throw. It's something that his body has learned over the course of 2 decades and being able to produce that. The family, it's a love family. That's the thing that happens in sports. You can recognize when somebody's loved and when they're not. Mm-hmm. And Patrick Mahomes comes from a place of love. His dad gave him the athlete and mom gave him the love. And that happens quite a bit, right? That dad teaches you how to be a man, mom teaches you how to be a better person. You figure that out. But the part behind Patrick that people will miss as a person and a player is that how cerebral he is. And it took him a while to figure out. It wasn't until he got to the NFL for him to recognize that he needed to elevate himself from an IQ standpoint for the game.
Intellectually, yeah.
And to because he was such a good.
He's got the right coach.
He was such a good. Well, that's the thing, and the people around him. He also had a really good mentor, guy you're familiar with. Alex Smith mentored him then, and it mentors him now, and that's important for young guys in a position of authority and power in a football powerhouse city like Kansas City. To have a guy who is he's accepting of people, he's welcoming to people, but more importantly, he's willing to love the thing that he does so much that he cannot fail. He cannot fail at this thing. He puts in the extra work. He plays from his heart. Extremely intelligent, but he loves the game of football. He loves playing it. And look, he's generational wealth now. $50 million a year for 10 years. My goodness gracious. And the thing is, I'm positive he's going to do something really extraordinary with that money.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt that at all. He seems he seems like I love his humor. I mean, he just seems like he's so funny. I mean, he's so deadpan as far as he's just kind of goofy.
I'm better than you.
Exactly.
I'm better than you at this. And sometimes there's certain elite athletes that do things that even amaze them.
Yeah, right.
And he still
he watches the tape back and goes, ooh.
He's like, wow, did I just do that? That was pretty, it was like, okay. And you could, if you've ever been on the sideline with players, sometimes they have conversations with themselves. My favorite things to hear on the sideline are the conversations that players have with themselves. And you can just see him go, wow, Patrick, that was a really good throw. Atta boy. That was pretty good stuff.
Exactly.
That's the part that folks miss, but that's why I'm here, is to share.
Well, one of the things that I don't miss much when I'm watching. In fact, I've often said I want to work for an NFL team and be the guy who says, "Coach, throw the red flag," because I can see whether or not it needs to be thrown or not. With on the live play,
Yeah.
and then when they would show the replay, and it's amazing to me to watch these announcers miss what's happened. When somebody gets injured and it's their knee, and the guy's like going, "Looks like he hurt his ankle." I'm like, "Well, no, dude, it's his knee," and those things. So, but
it's fascinating. I mean, because as a coach, that's what I'm there for. Like, I'm really there. The phrase is comfortable movement,
right.
And en masse with 22 bodies working, you're able to. It's a choreographed dance,
Mm-hmm.
and what your eyes are drawn to are the uncomfortable movements, and it's a moment of chaos where a player moves unnaturally because there's pain. A player moves unnaturally because of due force, and then a player moves unnaturally off timing. Right? He moved too quick. He's moving he's moving too slow.
Yeah.
So the trained eye falls into that lane, right? That there's some expertise in that.
Right.
And then a lot of times for coaches, you need a coach that's simply watching for uncomfortable movement. The problem is all the guys they have there have a thing that they're looking at, and often will miss it.
Yeah, that's right. No, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. That's why I said I'd love to be that coach who just stands on the sideline, watches the whole play, and goes, "Oh, coach, so and so," or what's his name? He's hurt. He's limping. There's something wrong with the way he's holding his arm. Because the player's not coming out. Not coming out. You can tell he's like going, "It's okay. I'm gonna make it."
Well, now it's the focus on concussion, those hits.
Yeah, and that's another thing. As a soccer coach, I would watch and I would see like two people's heads come together, and then I could see the little bit of a daze on a player, and I just yelled at the referee, "No, I got a player off. I got to bring a player off."
Yeah.
And the referees would look at me weird, and then when they looked at that player coming off the field, they go, "Oh, okay." Well, they didn't pick up on it initially.
Their natural movement because you've watched them at practice.
Correct.
Correct. That baseline that coaches carry for their players is vital. It's important, hugely important to know, especially quarterbacks and pitchers, and to know whether that comfortable movement is still in play. Like you see somebody, you go, "Wait a minute, he's not moving that way." We often say if somebody's playing poorly and you can't tell why, that's probably why. And at least the next break that you get, look them in the eye and find out what's going on, because and it's vital, it's important.
Absolutely. I mean, you want to make sure your guys are healthy. You want to make sure your guys are understanding that they need to say something, and they need to know that they're loved enough, right? As you said before, that they can come off the field and expect that once they're better, they can go back on the field. I think there's too many players who think if I go off the field, man, I'm never getting back on the field. So I got to suck it up, And they've been also told by other coaches, rub some dirt on it.
Those days are gone. Those days are gone. Those coaches are dinosaurs, man. You can't do that anymore.
There's still a few of them around though, but you're absolutely right. And we didn't really even get a chance to talk about the fact that the guy who seems to really love his players is Andy Reid. And the cool thing is how many coaches he's mentored. And, we see that the guys in the Super Bowl, Andy Reid, and across the way is, I think what's his name used to coach with Andy Reid also. For Tampa Bay.
A ton of coaches.
I mean, it's gotten to the point now where, like, Bill Belichick coached with Andy Reid on Parcells' crew. And
the tree is alive.
Yes, it is, absolutely, and it's amazing to see that 6 degrees, of connection. A lot of it was Parcells, and then it kind of ran downhill from there. Andy Reid, Belichick, and all these great coaches.
Bruce Arians is a Virginia Tech
guy. Arians, that's right.
Virginia Tech guy. So
yeah. So it's very interesting to watch how the coaching family puts it together. So who's going to win, Derrick?
How about we talk about that next Tuesday?
All right, we'll talk about it next Tuesday. That sounds good. My buddy Tor just said, "What's the pick for Super Bowl Sunday?" Well, we'll talk about it next Tuesday. All right, Derrick, man, you're the best, buddy. I appreciate you. I love you, man. And we'll talk next Tuesday, and we'll come up with another good subject to talk about. But we will end up the show with what Derrick Pearson's picks are for the Super Bowl. He's going to be keeping an eye on it, folks. No doubt about it. So if you're a wagering person, which you shouldn't be, but watch on Tuesday and you get your pick. Well, you can't have met Patrick Mahomes' mom and then bet against him. Come on, man. Come on, man. That's the way I was with in high school. You know, I'd meet these parents and stuff like that, and immediately their kid becomes one of my favorite players. You know, because and you were in this area, so I don't know if you remember the Roysters.
Yeah.
But Brandon Royster, the first brother of all the Roysters,
yeah,
that kid was amazing, and he played the violin at a very high level. And he's a football player, and he had a 4.0 or something. I mean, 3.8 or something like that. It was a Renaissance man. Okay. And of course, he went. I remember. Listen, I talked. We're gonna wrap this up real quick. Well, we'll talk about it next Tuesday. We'll talk about it next Tuesday. All right, man, Derrick. We could talk all day. You know that's right. John Paul says, "Hey, D." So,
Megawatt John, how you doing, brother?
Chiefs Kingdom. # Chiefs Kingdom.
He's loyal. Has been for almost 30 years.
I bet he has. All right, my friend. Take care. Thanks a lot for coming on the show, and we'll see you next Tuesday, buddy.
Love you, brother.
All right, man. Bye.